Okay, Matrix. So we're getting closer to the end of your PAT. So as you know, yesterday we went through, or in the last video, we went through last year's PAT, so the PAT of 2023, just to give you an idea of kind of what is expected for you for a certain part of phase 2. And we finished off at the section which I said is pretty much the same as the section in your civil drawing workbook, which is why I'm not going to do it with you, because it's going to take a lot of time and it's essentially going to be very similar to that. Not necessarily you would find the exact same section in your workbook, but you know how to do a section based on the work in your workbook is what I mean. Okay, and then I said we're going to go through the site plan and the detailed human eye view today, which is your 2-point perspective. And so let me just highlight that quickly so that you can see where we are. So the site plan and your 2-point perspective drawing, which if you had to have a look at your 2024 PAT, you would see that you would still be doing a site plan as well as a 2-point perspective drawing. So now we're going to quickly discuss what is expected of you in terms of a site plan and a 2-point perspective drawing, but by using last year's PAT. Okay, so let's start with the site plan. So obviously I'm not going to draw up the site plan because that's going to take quite a bit of time, and I think if I just explain it to you, you will understand what I mean. So just remember, phase 2 is the part of the drawing or part of your PAT where you have borders around your pages, which I said I'm not going to do with you because that's wasting our time. You can ask your teacher if you're not sure how you need to do the border. They will be able to help you with that. But here they give you a site plan. So if we look at, where is that page now? If you have a look at this page here, it says draw to a suitable scale, complete detailed site plan of stand 71. So here they give you a site plan, right? Which basically means that you are going to have to draw this entire site plan on one of your pieces of paper. Okay, and a site plan is smaller than a floor plan, which means that your scale will have to be smaller. So if you used a scale of 1 to 75 for your floor plan, then that's great. Then I would recommend going a lot smaller with your site plan. Maybe see if 1 to 100 fits everything in the page, or even 1 to 200, or even 1 to 500, or even 1 to 1,000, depending on what fits on your page. The moral of the story is it needs to be 75. I mean, smaller than 75, because obviously it's not going to fit on a full page if you choose a scale of 75, right? So you know that a scale is smaller than 1 to 75 if the number is bigger than 75. So like 100 is bigger than 75, so you know it's smaller. Okay, then it says give all given site details and features including all existing buildings. So my recommendation is you're going to build, draw pretty much the same thing here. Maybe not with all of these dimensions. I'm not actually sure if you draw the dimensions of the existing buildings or if you just draw in the existing buildings using the dimensions they've given you, but you will have all important features like your main street, your site plan, your north arrow, your manhole, your existing sewage line, your corner heights, those sorts of things. Stand 71 definitely are going to be on your site plan, as well as your building line. So just check with your teacher. Like I said, I don't think you need to be putting the dimensions in. You do need to put the existing buildings in, but I don't think you need to be putting the dimensions for the existing building in, but I actually can't recall. So this, I'm going to say just ask your teacher. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just gonna remember, so while you're watching these videos, maybe it's a good idea for you to write down notes on your PAT so that you can see what you still need to find out about and stuff like that. That way you won't get lost trying to figure out what you're supposed to do, because you will have it all written down and you will remember. Then you're going to put the proposed new building, parking area and driveways on your site plan. So obviously here we've got space for our building, and you were with me in the last video, I hope, where I drew just a basic conference center to kind of put here. So you see the shape has got this weird like rectangular shape. So if I had to take the size, so what you would do here is you would take, to get it onto your site plan. So sorry, let me just start from scratch to kind of make it easier for you guys. So here we know that this is 10,000 meters, okay, in real life. So what you're going to do to get this sizing, okay, is you're going to take these measurements here and you're going to divide it by scale. So say your scale is 1 to 500, so you're going to say 10,000 divided by 500 and get your new wall length in centimeters. Okay, so this will be in centimeters. Then you're going to take, say for instance, okay, let's just get my calculator out so that we can do this as accurately as possible so that you guys don't get a bit confused or anything like that. So if we have 10,000 divided by 500, that gives us 20, so 20 centimeters, okay? So then say, I don't actually think you would be doing 20 centimeters on your side plan. I don't think it will fit, but anyways. So say you're going to now take your measurement that you got here, which is 20 centimeters, and you're going to measure 20 centimeters on your side plan. Does that make sense? And then you're going to measure in the front and the wall and the back part that we had, kind of looks like this, okay? And then it will look like that, okay? So that's pretty much what you're doing, is you're basically just taking your floor plan and putting it on your site plan and keeping all of the site plan details that were there originally that need to be there, okay? Then it says, what do we have here? Okay, site plan, and then let's just get this site plan as well. Dimensions, including the reference dimension, the corner heights. Okay, so that means you might actually have to keep all of your dimensions, which is fine. Or sewage detail with labels and notes included, scale and north points. You see they give you the north point here. You would obviously have to say which scale you use, so depending on which one you choose, you would put it down. But here, this is not the most important thing. This will give you an idea of what you need to do. This here is like the one thing you need to be referring to so many times in your PAT to keep up with what you're doing, okay? So, site plan correctly drawn, including all given site features in detail, the proposed new building with north-facing main entrance, parking area and driveways, all sewage detailed labels and notes included, dimensions including the new building's reference dimensions and corner heights, suitable scale indicated correctly, north points, okay? And I believe that you're going to, once you have your building on, call it the new dwelling. But again, I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check up on that for future for you guys. But for now, just ask your teacher again if you should write new dwelling. I don't think you're going to be sticking a roof on it because I've never seen that in EGD. I've seen that in architecture, and that's why I'm getting a bit confused, okay? So I don't obviously want to mess you guys around with things that I've learned out of school. So for now, I'm going to say it should be new dwelling, but just check with your teacher, so make a note of it, okay? Okay, there we go, your site plan. So it's pretty much going to be easy because you're pretty much given the site plan. You just got to plop your building on the site plan and then make sure it's got all of its things that it needs to be done, right? So that's pretty easy. Okay, now let's go talk about the perspective quickly, because this perspective is where a lot of people get confused. And it's really not difficult, but I can understand why sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge, okay? So because I'm kind of running out of paper and I need this paper to kind of show you guys what I mean, I'm going to use an A4 piece of paper as an A3 piece of paper. So let's just pretend for a minute that it's an A3 piece of paper. Okay, so when you're drawing a perspective, my advice would be to kind of look at your workbook and see how your workbook lays it out so that you could lay out your perspective on your page over here. Now, there are two ways to do it, so let's just discuss the first way. Okay, so the first way would be to draw up your ground line. So say we've got your perspective here. Now here you've got your ground line. Okay, ground line and ground line. And then say we want to put your SP point here in the middle on your ground line, for instance. Or let's just see what the PAT says here. Okay, they don't say anything about where your SP point needs to be, so I'm going to put it over here. Just check if they specify where your SP point needs to be, then you need to put it in that area. Okay, so the first way to do it is to take your ground line and draw your house onto your ground line. So I'm not going to do this to scale, so do not do what I'm doing. I'm just doing this to demonstrate to you guys. So like using the building from last year's PAT, I would draw, so say now I'm drawing this to a scale half the size, okay, so that it can fit on my perspective. Or actually you can keep this the same size, because this is supposed to be an A3 paper, so like mine's 1 to 100, I would keep it the same. But if it's a bit too big, like actually no, we have to make it smaller, because if you look at the floor plan's quite large, right? So you can't fit that on an A3 paper, because this is already an A3 paper and it takes up quite a bit of space, okay? So, and I skipped a lot of rooms, which means if I were you, I would half the size, okay? And then you just draw the same picture, but half the size. So say, for instance, I can't actually remember what size mine was, so I'm just going to eyeball it and draw it up, just so that you guys get an idea of what needs to be done. So do not take this as like you should just be drawing a freehand thing. Do not do that. Use measurements. Just all you need to do is take, say, this measurement here, which is 11, half it, 5.5, 5.5, draw a drawing, right? Okay, then we've got our Dutch gable roof, so let's just draw something in over here so that we've got something to show you guys what's kind of expected here. Okay, and then this is very, very skew, but it's okay, we'll use it anyways. And then let's just fix that. I don't like how that looks. Okay. Then obviously you've got your doors as well. You don't have to put like door frames, because you're not going to draw that in perspective, but draw your like windows and stuff. So you would kind of have something that looks like this, right? So pretty much the same sort of thing that you see in your workbooks. Like not too much detail, but enough detail that you can see that it's a house. Okay, like this over here. Then the most important thing, which is really the only thing that I want to kind of make sure you guys understand for this PAT. First of all, before we even get to that, make sure you have your other elevation here. Okay, so you should have your front one here and your other one here, or it could be swapped depending on how you've done your floor plan, but have both your buildings. I'm just going to do this so that we pretend that I have both my buildings. Okay, we've got the rooms over there and it should look like that. Okay, so there we go. That's the other half of my building, which again, do not freehand. I'm just doing this to give you guys an idea of what's expected of you. Okay, so what I want to actually get at is, if you look at the PAT from last year, it says here, for your perspective, you must draw, okay, your perspective that shows the main entrance and rotating door. So they'll generally tell you what they want to see. So make sure when you read this year's PAT, which if you do have a look at this year's PAT, let's have a look, see, entire restaurants and museum, including the veranda without the pergolas. Okay, that's kind of what they want to see. Orientate the perspective so that it will clearly show the entrance to the museum, entire veranda. Okay. All right. So here they say the same sort of thing. Then they say the horizon line must be 1.5 meters above the ground line. This throws so many people off, and I can understand why, because it's not difficult. It's just a lot of kids are like, what do you mean by 1.5 meters? So here is what they mean. Okay. If, for instance, like over here on my elevation, I told you guys in the last video that I used a measurement or a scale of 1 to 100, because I didn't have a scale ruler, and 1 to 75 is just going to complicate things, and right now I did not need that. So basically we know that if this building has a height of 6 and you need to add an extra 1.5 meters, it would be 7.5, right? So when you take your building and you transfer it to half the size on your perspective, you're basically going to measure an extra 1.5 meters, right, on your paper. And then you're going to measure it. So say now we know it's 7.5, and half of 7.5 let's just take our ruler. 7.5 divided by 2 would give us 3.75. Okay, so say this was smaller than 3 centimeters, mine's obviously a bit big. You would take it and you would measure, and you would say, oh, okay, I see it's like a meter above, like this. Okay, so your horizontal line would be like there. Okay, now sometimes you can leave your horizontal line in, sometimes the house kind of like won't fit in there, but I think this one should. You could also just do half and half and leave an open space if that's what you wanted to do, but basically that's what you need to do. It's the same as if you had a scale of 1 to 75. All you would do is you would take your your elevation, sorry, you would take your 1 to 75 measurement, which is 1.33, and you would add 1.5, and then when you transfer it onto the paper. So I hope this is making sense. If it's not quite making sense, let me know, and I'll do like a singular video where I just kind of explain this. So yeah, in last year's PAT, this had to be 1.5 meters above the building. In this year's PAT, I believe it's 1 meter, so it should kind of still help you with what you need to be doing. And then obviously you're going to have your picture plane as well. So your picture plane, maybe it's just a few centimeters higher than your horizontal line. I don't know, like I say, just use your workbook as reference. Okay, and then you're going to draw in your building. So you're going to take your floor plan. So obviously mine's over here, and then you might choose to use 45 degrees, or you might choose to use 60 and 30 degrees. It's up to you. So I'm just going to use this one because why not? And you're basically going to have your floor plan drawn in at the top. I'm just going to draw a rectangle because I'm not going to draw the whole thing. Okay, now with that being said, okay, that's the one way you could do your perspective. Oh, okay, so obviously once you've got this is just outline for the perspective. You do actually have to do it. You do actually have to draw this in perspective, which I'm obviously not going to do. But this is the one way you could lay out your perspective drawing. The other thing that you could do, okay, is you could take a plain A3 paper just like this over here and print out your elevation, your floor plan, and your other elevation, and you could draw all the lines that you need, so say your ground lines, etc., etc., and then all you can do is, instead of putting it on the paper like we did with this one over here, is you put it next to the paper. So you might keep the full scale of this drawing here, and you just paste it on the side, and like paste it on the side, paste it on the side, paste this on top of the paper, and just kind of like sellotape it down, and then draw your perspective, so that instead of having this, you would have your ground line. Okay, let's just pretend that's not very skewed. Your horizontal line and your picture plane, or maybe it's the whole paper, sorry, and all you would have is literally just your house or whatever drawn at your restaurant, sorry, drawn in perspective. Here obviously I'm doing the conference center, so literally if you put it on the side, you would have your entire drawing on the paper just as perspective, and then you would need to keep your views. So say like here's the house on the side, I'm just going to draw it here for reference. Here's the thing on the side that you drew, right, that you didn't obviously put onto the paper, but you just used the printed copy next to get your drawing. Then you just keep those with your perspective so that they know how you drew your perspective. Okay, so I hope that's making sense. Again, if it's not, let me know. I will go in an in-depth explanation for you guys. So I just want to find that paper. Perspective, evidence of the views and construction used to prepare the drawing. So whether that is the evidence of your views on your paper, like this, or the printed copies of the side of the paper, as long as you have it, you should be fine. Correct orientation with the building at the horizontal at about 1.5 meters above the ground line. That's important, guys. Make sure you don't get that wrong. And if you're still struggling, ask your teacher, okay? There's nothing wrong with asking for help, okay? I feel like a lot of kids don't like asking for help in class, and I understand because I used to be one of those kids. But I can tell you, when you start asking questions, your experience in school gets a lot easier for you. I know that sometimes kids bully you and they laugh when you ask questions, but you need to just ignore them and do what you need to do for you. Otherwise, go up to your teacher in personal time, or ask a friend who knows what they're doing, or that sort of thing. But I think you should get it now that I've kind of explained it. And then it says detail and correctness of the perspective drawing. So obviously, once you've drawn the full perspective, how correct is it? Okay, so that's this video explained. So I hope this kind of gives you a sort of idea of what you need to be doing. And again, one of my other pieces of advice is going to be just refer to your workbook. Remember, they're not testing you on work you've never done before. Okay, all of this work that you're being tested on is a form of work that you've done at some point or another. Okay, so they're just testing you on that. I promise you, you're going to be 100% okay. And in the next video, I'll just kind of give you an idea of what they expect when you put your portfolio or your PATs together. But yeah, this is pretty much an explanation of that, so I hope that it makes sense and that it's not too difficult for you guys. But I think you guys understand, so if you don't, let me know. But if you do, also let me know. But yeah, so I hope this helped you guys.